The Browns were the it team nationally a season ago. Some projected them to win the Super Bowl. Most projected them to be a playoff team. They had 6 wins in the regular season, and that led to an entire restructuring of the organization. A new head coach, a new general manager. They still do have Baker Mayfield. We'll get some national perspective on Baker's play and what might need to change. But one thing is certain. People that have been around the NFL for a number of years seem to be huge fans of new Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski.
Well, I know Kevin very well, and I think Kevin's a great hire for the Browns. I really do. I think when you look at him, everybody says, oh, he's analytics, and he's much more than that. He's a Philly guy. Philly guys come and they got a little edge to him, and Kevin has an edge to him, and I think it's a good mix between analytics and a guy who understands what it takes to win in this league.
A guy that you would consider an up-and-coming guy as well. I mean, relatively young.
Yeah, and we have a tendency in this business to judge these guys right away when you really don't know. How's he going to handle the room? How's he going to handle his players? Being a guy who's from Philly, who's come up through the ranks, his dad's an NBA general manager and been around for a long time. He understands what it takes to be a successful coach in this league, and I think he's going to be. I really do. Again, though, it's how you manage your people, and do you instill discipline on a team that, quite frankly, needed it.
Do they still have the talent? I mean, everybody thought they had talent to do this, that, and the other thing. Were they accurate with the talent, just not used the right way a season ago, you think?
Well, they got all caught up in the bells and whistles and forgot about the big guys up front. I don't care what you have on offense, whether Baker Mayfield is taking the next step or you get Beckham, you have Landry. But if you can't block, you aren't having success. They have to improve the tackle position on that team.
Andrew Berry is kind of identified as one of those analytics guys, but he's a guy that came up in Indianapolis, with Bill Polian as a football guy. Is he a legitimate football guy, a football guy, as they say?
We get too caught up in the analytics stuff. Football has always had analytics. It used to be called stats. Now they call it analytics. And then again, it's identifying players. Can he fit in? What are the numbers tell you? Only enhance what you see on the tape. I think you can't just go, I'm an analytics guy. You have to be involved with the tape. The tape tells you the story more than the analytics, but they're nice to have if you can use it as a supplementary piece.
Made a big deal about making sure general manager, head coach were in alignment. How critical is that to getting it right in any franchise?
Well, I think it's critical because you see these fractures on teams, and next thing you know, you got a coach and a general manager fighting over things. You want to see it as smooth as possible because you want to have guys who are having the same vision for the football team. And I think in Berry and Stefanski, they have that same vision.
They made a big deal about making sure general manager and head coach were in alignment. How important is that in any franchise?
Yeah, I think it's a critically important factor, and it's one of those things that when they are, we don't talk about it that often, right? If you're in alignment, if the coaching staff understands what the scouting staff wants and vice versa, then we don't have to spend too much time belaboring it because things just kind of work. And it's been sort of a fleeting goal for the Browns for a while now, but the early indications, and we're not even 2 months into the tenure of Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, suggest that these are two men that are in alignment. And hopefully by this time next year, we're no longer talking about whether they're in alignment or not, right? That they are fully invested in the process of getting this roster right. There are some unique pieces on the roster already that give you some hope, but hope only goes so far. Ultimately, you got to win more games, and I know Browns fans have been clamoring that for a long, long time.
That leads me right into the next question I was going to ask you. Is there the type of talent that everybody thought was there when they were saying 10 wins, 11 wins, 12 wins?
Well, the key thing is you have a quarterback, and I don't know the full pulse of where Browns fans are after last season with Baker. He left some room for improvement, clearly, and there were some mistakes and probably too many interceptions and maybe, I don't know about an aggression from his rookie year, but it felt like the last, let's say, 6 weeks or so of 2018 were such an upward pointing arrow that when things kind of taper off last year, it almost feels like a step back. But a lot of unique ability for Baker, certainly a guy that has a lot of the requisite skills to be a long-time successful quarterback in this league. And when I look at the roster, if you have that box checked, then I give you a chance to make everything else work as a result of that. Probably will be interesting to see that some of the players that have been acquired over the past few years that you think are ready to help you win right away, how do they fit long-term into this puzzle? But I think the flexibility is solid. Draft capital is enough. Roster flexibility in terms of salary cap space should be good, so they do have the assets to acquire pieces if they so desire.
How important is a quarterback coach for a young quarterback? They had a first-time head coach, first-time really full-season coordinator, first-time quarterback coach. I mean, it was almost like there was nobody he could really go to, a go-to guy.
Well, some guys can be great in their first time doing it, and some coaches need some experience or learn from some experience. So what I would say is, rather than necessarily pinning it on how many years you've done it, I would just say that I think Baker needs to find somebody he can trust, somebody that he feels that in good times and bad, I know it sounds like marriage, but I mean, that's sort of how these quarterback-coach dynamics can be sometimes. And then beyond that, someone that will be there for a while. He wants to believe that he's going to be there for a while so that he can feel as though what he is being taught or what he is being coached is foundational to him and his success going forward.
Last thing I'll ask you, is this a team to keep an eye on still, you think, that could make a pretty big jump?
Yeah, I feel like part of me is saying the instinct of not repeating 2019, where you thought the jump was going to be there, and so maybe this is a year to go the other way and just say, hey, we'll see. So my answer would be we'll see in a short form, but the offseason is basically 32 teams with hope, which is a good thing in the NFL. And if you had told me last year at this time, do I think the 49ers will be playing the Super Bowl after finishing 4-12 with a second pick in the NFL draft, I would have said you're crazy. So I'm a believer that NFL teams there will be at least one each year that will make that substantial turnaround, and perhaps we're all just a year too soon on the Browns.
What did you see last year, and was it as tough as Browns fans made it out to be?
Well, I mean, it was tough. I mean, Browns fans, myself, I'm a fan of Baker Mayfield and quarterback play. I mean, he spoiled us his first year. That was special. You don't see that happen every year where a guy just comes in and just starts to light the league on fire. So, I think maybe our expectations were a little high, and I think we all just thought, oh, he's Baker Mayfield. He's won the Heisman. This will be easy for him. No, this is the NFL. It's a different game. Teams study your tendencies, you as personal player, and then your offense and things like that. And of course, there was a lot of other things going on in that Cleveland organization this year. But yeah, it was a little bit of a regression, let's say, but not the one where I'm concerned of. I don't look at Baker Mayfield and go, oh, the future doesn't look good. No, I think Baker Mayfield is a baller, a superstar. I think he gets to clean up a few things technique-wise, and he'll learn a little more football as far as his X's and O's and what to read in defensive coverages and continue to grow. It's only his third year coming up, so there's a lot of time left for him to keep getting better.
As a guy who played the position at the NFL level, How tough is it when you have a first-year head coach that's an offense and a first-year head coach as a quarterback? There really didn't seem to be a guy that is going to tell him, this is what's going on, you need to fix this and this.
Sure, yeah. I mean, maybe some of those nuances got lost in the shuffle a little bit. You're right, because Freddie Kitchens, as he's trying to call plays, maybe can't pay attention to some of the finer details of technique, because he's worried about doing, the game planning for the week or whatever it may be. So those little things, they might mean jack crap in May and June. But all of a sudden you get in one little bad habit and it starts to filter, and all of a sudden you get to late October and you go, damn, I miss this route or this read every time. And why is that? Well, there's a number of things. The biggest thing I would say with Baker Mayfield too, just going back to the drawing board a little, there was two things that jumped out to me about him last year. One was reaching really far back with his arm, like to throw the ball 105 miles per hour. I want to be like, 100's good enough. You have a great arm. You don't need to reach for more. The other thing was footwork, and I know that's been talked about in Cleveland a lot. But for anybody out there, if you're standing on a clock and you want to throw the ball at 12 o'clock, right? Well, a righty, you got to step in the general direction of 12 o'clock. He makes a lot of throws where he throws to 12 o'clock and steps at 10 o'clock or 9:30. And it's just really hard to be consistent and hit the bullseye like that all the time. And that's what a quarterback coach will do, being on his case day after day.
Do you like Kevin Stefanski and Alex Van Pelt as the guys in the room that are doing that and cleaning that up?
I do. Now, listen, I've been a little critical of Kevin Stefanski and, the offense, and I'm not sure. And listen, I hope he does a great job and proves me wrong and can say, screw you, Chris Sims, and I'll be all for that. I'll be the first one to say that. I do think, however, yes, they will be the right guys, both of them, to stay on top of those, what we would say, smaller details. One thing I'll say about Stefanski is, the offense isn't as vast and expanded as I would like, but what they do, they do it really well. They know exactly what they're doing, and there's no mess of them. And when you do that kind of stuff and run that kind of offense, yes, that can hone in on player technique. Ooh, offensive lineman, you need to lead with this foot on this running play. Quarterback, hey, I need your drop to be a quick 5 instead of a big 5, or whatever it may be. be. And I think they are the right guys for that.
Last thing I'll ask you,
Yeah.
is this still a team that has the talent that everybody thought they had a season ago when they were saying 10, 11, 12 wins?
I do. I don't question the talent. You know, we talk about being battle tested because that's a real thing in football. You know, the NFL is so close, and really most games come down to, it's these 3 plays, and can we outperform them? And that's part of being battle tested. Like New England hasn't gotten lucky for 20 years straight. They're battle tested. They know how to handle those situations. Coaches in the right way. Players execute it. I think it's just being about gritty, being a little tougher, and being better in some of those situational football areas that can get them over the hump. But I think the talent is still there, and of course they need a few players, like every team. But they're still good.